Dear students, welcome to our digital class. Today our teaching topic is solving quadratic equation in different methods. Learning outcomes. The children understand the uses of the quadratic equations and the children can solve the quadratic equations in different methods. Before getting into the topic, we will recap a few terms. See, what is the difference between quadratic polynomial and quadratic equation, and what are the zeros and roots, and how does the graph of a x square plus b x plus c looks like. See, quadratic polynomial is an algebraic expression of order 2. A quadratic equation is of the form p x is equals to 0, where p x is the polynomial of order 2. More generally, a real number k is said to be 0 p of x when p of k is equal to 0. Then 0 of the polynomial or 0 of the quadratic equation. See, the value of a quadratic polynomial becomes 0 when it is substituted in the place of its variable. Then we will consider one example. Look, p of x is equals to x square plus 5 x plus 6. Then in the place of x, let us substitute minus 2. Then minus 2 whole square plus 5 into minus 2 plus 6. What it becomes? It becomes p of minus 2 is equals to 4 minus 10 plus 6, that is 10 minus 10 equals to 0. Then we can now call it as the 0, minus 2 as the 0 of the quadratic polynomial. Then what are the roots? The value of the variable which satisfies the quadratic equation is called the root of the equation. Example, we will consider the same. X square plus 5 x plus 6 is equals to 0. Then we will again substitute p of minus 2 equals to minus 2 whole square plus 5 into minus 2 plus 6 equals to 0. Then minus 10 plus 10 equals to 0. Then minus 2 satisfies the given quadratic equation. So, minus 2 is also called as the root when 0 is an RHS of a quadratic equation, the zeros and roots are the same. Then we will consider a graph y is equals to a x square plus b x plus c. How does it looks like? It looks like a parabola. See, this is drawn on y axis. Then what it tells us? It tells all the values which satisfies the equation y is equal to a x square plus b x plus c. But why do we consider the all zeros lie on x axis only? Because the value of the y obviously is 0 on x axis only. So, we consider the zeros of a x square plus b x plus c equal to 0 on x axis only. If it has intersected 2 points, we say it has 2 zeros. Let us see different conditions for the coefficients of x square and x and the constant in the given quadratic equation. Case 1, if a is equals to 1, a x square plus b x plus c equals to 0 becomes x square plus b x plus c equals to 0. It has a special name. Do you know what it is? See, this is called monic quadratic equation. Now, let us look at case 2. See, if the value of a equals to 0, then the quadratic equation becomes b x plus c, since a x square vanishes. So, it becomes b x plus c equals to 0, implies x is equals to minus c by b. Here there is no quadratic equation, it do not exist since the order of 2 has vanished. So, the quadratic equation does not exist when the value of a equals to 0. Then we will consider one more condition 3. If b is equals to 0, then a x square plus b x plus c equals to 0 becomes a x square plus c equals to 0. That is, x square is equals to minus c by a implies x is equals to root of minus c by a. In the real number world, we do not have such type of value. There the roots are imaginary and it do not exist. But if b is equals to 0 in the quadratic equation, a x square plus b x plus c equals to 0 becomes a x square plus 0 plus c equals to 0. That is, a x square plus c equals to 0, then x square equals to minus c by a, then x is equals to root of minus c by a. Here roots are imaginary. So, the quadratic equation do not exist when b is equals to 0 in the equation a x square plus b x plus c equals to 0. Then we will consider one more type of equation, case 4. If a x square plus b x minus c equals to 0, when b equals to 0, it becomes a x square minus c equals to 0, then x square equals to c by a. The roots are real, then the quadratic equation exists. Then we will consider the different methods to solve the quadratic equation. Now, we will discuss about solving quadratic equation by using 3 methods. One is solving quadratic equation by factorization method. Number 2, solving quadratic equations by using completing a square method. Third one, solving quadratic equation by using Sridharacharya's formula, that is x is equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. Solving the quadratic equation by factorization method. Process: first find the product of the coefficients of x square and the constant term, that is a into c. Next, split the product into factors such that the sum or difference of those factors must be equal to the value of the x coefficient, that is b equals to a plus c or minus a minus c. Now, let us consider one example, that is 2x square minus 13x plus 20 equals to 0. Here comparing with a x square plus b x plus c is equals to 0, what we will have? We have a equals to 2, b equals to minus 13, c equals to 20. Then remember product a into c, what is a into c? 2 into 20 equals to 40. Then factors of 40, many factors will be there. 2 into 20 is also equal to 40, 8 into 5 is also equal to 40, 10 into 4 is also equal to 40. Out of these 3 factors, which one we have to consider? We have to consider the sum or the difference of these factors must be equals to minus 13. So, I am taking minus 8 minus 5 equals to minus 13. Then rewriting the quadratic equation, it becomes like this: 2x square minus 13x plus 20 equals to 0 becomes x square becomes 2x into x minus 8x becomes minus 4 into 2 into x minus 5 into minus x plus minus 5 into 4 equal to 0. Then here from the first 2 terms, what can we take common? 2x. Take 2x as common, and then what are the remaining terms? Keep it in the bracket x minus 4. Then again the next 2 terms you observe, what is the common term? See, minus 5 is the common term. I have took the common it becomes minus 5 into x minus 4 equal to 0. Then again I am taking x minus 4 common, it become x minus 4 into 2x minus 5 equals to 0. Then x minus 4 equals to 0 and 2x minus 5 equals to 0. When x minus 4 is equals to 0, x is equals to what happens 4, or 2x minus 5 equals to 0, x becomes 5 by 2. See, likewise we have to find the factors by using factorization method. Now, I will explain the different type of problems in a shortcut method. However, you have to follow the above steps for solving a quadratic equation by factorization method. Let us consider first one, 5x square plus 18x plus 16 equals to 0. Then what we have to do? Remember the product of a and c, a equals to 5, b equals to 18, c equals to 16. What would be the product? Remember, product is equals to a into c, that is 5 into 16, it is also 80. Factors of 80 are 2 into 40, 5 into 16, 10 into 8. Therefore, which of the 3 factors we have to consider as sum or difference? See, which gives us the coefficient of x, we have to consider them. See, I am taking 10 into 8 as 80 and 10 plus 8 is equal to b. Therefore, we can compare the factor 1 by a, that is factor 1. What is factor? 10. And what is the value of alpha? Factor 1 opposite sign of the factor by coefficient of a, minus 10 by 5 equals to minus 2, and the next factor is what? 8. What is the opposite sign of 8? Minus 8. Then what is beta? Beta is equals to factor 2 is minus 8 by coefficient of a, that is minus 8 by 5. Like this we can solve spontaneously when it is given in the multiple choice question. My dear children, I will explain you the process. What we have to do in this process, you know, we have to make the given quadratic equation as a monoquadratic equation. What it is? We have to divide every term of a quadratic equation a x square plus b x plus c equals to 0 by the coefficient of x square. Then what it becomes? It becomes x square plus b x by a plus c by a equals to 0. Then what we have to do? In second step, we have to send the constant term to the right hand side. See, it becomes x square plus b by a x equals to minus c by a. Then the third term, what we have to do, you know, we have to add half of the coefficient of the x square term to both sides. That is it. You will able to get at any type of problem by using completing a square method. Let us discuss quadratic equation by completing the square. In previous examples, we have learnt method of factorization. The idea behind this method is to adjust the left side of the quadratic equation so that it becomes perfect square, the square of the first degree of the polynomial. See, I am considering the same x square plus 4x minus 4 equals to 0. Now, x square plus 4x is equals to 0 plus 4. Adding 4 on both sides, x square plus 4x plus 4 equals to 4 plus 4. Now, x square plus 2 into 2x plus 2 square is equals to 8. This can be written as x plus 2 whole square equals to 8. Then x plus 2 equals to plus or minus root 8. Then x plus 2 is equals to plus or minus 2 root 2, implies x is equals to x plus 2 equals to 2 root 2, x equal to 2 root 2 minus 2, that is 2 into root 2 minus 1, or if x plus 2 equals to minus 2 root 2, implies minus 2 root 2 minus 2 equals to minus 2 into root 2 plus 1. Visualize the same before for your better understanding. Observe carefully on the screen. What I am doing is, I am considering the equation x square plus 2 x minus 15 equals to 0. Then what I said in the step first, we have to divide entire equation by coefficient of x square. Here coefficient of x square is only 1. So, no need of dividing. The next step is sending the constant term to right hand side. It become x square plus 2 x equals to 0 plus 15 is equals to 15. Then I am considering this left side x square as a square x square, and entire 2 x, what I tell in the third step, we have to add square of the half of the coefficient of term b. Here I am taking term b as 2 x, on right hand side it is 15. Relate the algebraic expression with the figure. Algebraic expression x square plus 2 x on left hand side figure, 15 on right hand side. X square plus 2 x on the left hand side, I am making it half and sending to the top to make it a square. It became like this, but a gap is visibly seen. Then how can we fill the gap? See, the measure of 1 and 1 is 1 square. So, I am taking 1, adding 1 on left hand side. So, I have to add 1 on right hand side also. It became now perfect square in the left hand side. Now, I can write it as x plus 1 whole square is equals to 16. Then x plus 1 is equals to root of 16, and x plus 1 is equals to plus or minus 4 implies x is equals to 3, and x plus 1 equals to minus 4 implies minus 4 minus 1 is equals to minus 5. Another equation, x square plus 4 x minus 4 equals to 0. First step, no need of dividing entire equation by coefficient of x square, since x square term is 1. It became x square plus 4 x minus 4 equals to 0, and send the constant term to right hand side. X square plus 4 x is equals to 0 plus 4 equals to 4. Then I am taking x square term x square and 4 x equals to 4. Then I am making half exactly of term b and sending to the top of this a. Now, what is the gap? 2 into 2 is 4. I am adding 4 on this left hand side. So, I am adding 4 on right side also. Therefore, it became x plus 2 whole square equals to 8 plus 4. X plus 2 whole square is equals to 8 implies x plus 2 is equals to plus or minus root 8. Then x plus 2 is equals to plus or minus 2 root 2. Then if x plus 2 equals to 2 root 2, x equals to 2 root 2 minus 2 equals to 2 into root 2 minus 1. X plus 2 equals to minus 2 root 2 implies minus 2 root 2 minus 2 equals to minus 2 into root 2 plus 1. Hence, the problem is solved. See, now consider one more, 4 x square plus 3 x plus 5 equals to 0. Divide entire equation by the coefficient of x square, 4 x square by 4 plus 3 x by 4 plus 5 by 4 equals to 0. Then x square plus 3 x by 4 plus 5 by 4 equals to 0. Step 2, send the constant to right hand side. X square plus 3 x by 4 is equals to 0 minus 5 by 4. It became x square plus 3 x by 4 is equals to minus 5 by 4. Now, what I have to do? Step 3, add half of the square of the coefficient of x on both sides. X square plus 3 x by 4 plus 3 by 8 square is equals to minus 5 by 4 plus 3 by 8 whole square. Implies it became x plus 3 by 8 whole square equals to minus 5 by 4 plus 3 by 8 square. Continue the simplification and we will get the answers. At last, finally, we will consider the last method, Sridharacharya's formula. What is that? Sridharacharya's formula is equals to x equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. To visualize the same, how do we get Sridharacharya's formula? Ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0. Dividing every term by a, we have ax square by a plus bx by a equals to 0 minus c by a. Now, it become x square plus bx by a equals to minus c by a. Make half of the x coefficient, b by a becomes b by 2a, then add b by 2a whole square on both sides. You visualize the same using the picture. See x square, now b by a is x coefficient, make it half. What we have to add? By filling b by 2a whole square, we can fill or we can make this picture as a perfect square, b square by 2a, again b by 2a whole square on both sides. It became ax square by a plus 2 into b by 2a, x plus b by 2a whole square is equals to minus c by a plus b by 2a whole square. It became x plus b by 2a whole square equals to minus c by a plus b square by 4a square. Now, simplify it, x plus b by 2a is equals to root of b square minus 4a square minus c by a. Now, it became x plus b by 2a equals to minus b by 2a plus square root of b square minus 4a c by 4a square. X is equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. We can rewriting all this, we can rewrite this equation as x1 is equals to minus b plus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a, and x2 is equals to minus b minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. See what we have discussed so far, we have discussed a few terms of quadratic equation and the three methods of solving quadratic equation by factorization method. Number 2 is solving quadratic equation by completing a square method. Third one is solving quadratic equation by using Sridharacharya's formula. See children, observe the screen and note down these problems on your notebooks and show to your class teacher. We use the above method of solving quadratic equation as shown below. One is abstract number problems, type 2 2-digit problems, type 3 problems related with ages, type 4 motion speed distance problems, type 5 geometrical figures, type 6 mensuration problems, type 7 time work related problems, type 8 business related problems, type 9 fraction related problems. Dear students, thank you very much and we will meet in the next digital class.
Good morning teachers and dear students, welcome to digital classes. Today we are going to discuss about an important topic, but before going to the topic, let us recall the previous chapters of your 10th class bioscience. That is, the first topic is nutrition. The process of nutrition is nothing but supplying nutrients to the body, wherein the complex substances are digested into simpler and diffusible substances. The second intimate system to the digestive system is respiration. During respiration process, the gases which are inhaled into the lungs, the oxygen present in the inhaled air diffuses into the alveolus, and sometimes when our body gets wounded or any injury occurs, we will go to the hospitals. There the doctor will give us oral medicine or any type of injections. Wound is at the place and we are taking injection at another place. Now think about these substances, that is the digested substances and the diffused gases and the medicine or any other chemical which is entering into the body is remaining in the same place or reaching to any other place. Yes, all these substances are moving from one place to the other place. Is there any carrier or vehicle inside our body to transport all these substances? Of course. But unlike multicellular organisms, in unicellular organisms like amoeba, the transportation of substances takes place by a simple process called diffusion. But this diffusion process is not applicable and it is not possible to multicellular organisms, because in multicellular organisms there are so many trillions of cells which are arranged all over the body, and the distance between external environment and the internal environment is also more. Due to this reason, the multicellular organisms are depending on a complex system of transportation. So, this complex system of transportation is nothing but our circulatory system. Let us know in detail about the circulatory system that is there in 10th class bioscience. Okay children, let us observe some images related to our topic. Here in this image you can see the extension of tube like structures all over the body that help in movement of substances to each and every cell. That means this system is communicating with each and every cell for movement of the substances. This is nothing but the circulatory system. The circulatory system is not only carrying or supplying substances and gases to the cells, it does the different functions like it is collecting carbon dioxide and excretory waste from each and every cell, and it helps in preventing microbial infections. It maintains osmoregulation or homeostasis. So, this is the major part of the circulatory system is formed by three parts. They are heart, blood vessels and the blood. Before going into the detailed structure of heart, let us try to know about the history behind the discovery of heart. In the 4th century BC, Greek philosopher Aristotle identified heart as the most important organ of the body. He said that it was the seat of intelligence, motion and sensation, and he considered it as hot and dry organ. He stated that brain and lungs are only existed to cool the heart. Galen reaffirmed heart as the organ most closely related to the soul. He argued that the expansion and contractions of the heart was a function of its role as an intelligent organ. Okay children, just now we came to know that Galen reaffirmed heart as the most important organ and it is the seat of intelligence. So, its expansion and contraction are the part of its intelligent organ. So, let us see a small animation of heart which is showing the expansion and contraction of heart according to the opinion. Okay children, in this heart animation video you can find and you can observe the contraction and expansion of the heart, which is the part of its role as an intelligent organ according to Galen. After the contributions of William Harvey, the first known physician, it was proved that heart is not the organ of soul, but it is a pumping organ that pumps blood to all parts of the body, including brain and lungs. What is heart? Heart is a hollow, conical, muscular and pulsating organ that pumps blood to different parts of the body. The size of the heart is about crunched fist of a man. The heart is located in the chest cavity, the space provided called mediastinum between the two lungs, and it is protected by rib cage. There is a double membranous structure that is covering the heart called pericardium or heart sac. Between the two membranes of pericardium, there is a narrow space present called pericardial space, which is filled with pericardial fluid. The pericardial fluid helps in protection of heart from external shocks and jerks. Here you can see the external surface of the heart. There are prominent blood vessels called coronary arteries and coronary veins that are supplied to muscles of the heart. This heart is exactly situated at the center of the chest cavity, not towards the left, but the broad surface is anterior and conical posterior surface is bending just towards the left side, but the heart is not situated towards the left side of the chest cavity. Here in this image you can see externally and internally heart is divided into 4 chambers. They are 2 anterior chambers called auricles or atria. Atrium is the new name of auricle. And the 2 posterior chambers are called ventricles. In Latin origin, atria means entrance hall, whereas in Latin origin ventricle means little belly. Internally, the 2 auricles are separated by a fibrous septum called interauricular septum, and the 2 ventricles are separated by a vertical septum called interventricular septum. So, all the 4 chambers are separated internally. Here there are so many trunks of blood vessels are supplied to the heart. They are the largest rigid blood vessel called systemic aorta and pulmonary aorta, system of vena cava and pulmonary veins. The systemic aorta is originating from the left ventricle, which is transporting oxygenated blood to all parts of the body. The pulmonary vein is entering into the left atrium, which is carrying oxygenated blood from lungs to the left atrium. The pulmonary aorta, which is arising from the right ventricle, after coming out of the right ventricle, the pulmonary aorta is dividing into 2 branches called pulmonary arteries. The opening of the pulmonary aorta is guarded by a semilunar valve called pulmonary valve. The system of vena cava are formed by 2 anterior precaval veins and 1 postcaval vein. The postcaval vein opening is guarded by a membranous fold called eustachian valve. Here internally there are different valves are seen in the heart. Between right atrium and the right ventricle, a tricuspid valve is present with 3 flaps, and between left atrium and the left ventricle, a bicuspid valve, which is also called mitral valve, is present with 2 flaps. The pulmonary valve is guarding the opening of pulmonary aorta, and aortic wall, which is also called systemic valve, guards the systemic aorta. Next, in this slide, children, you can observe there are 2 different nodal tissues that are supplied to the wall of heart. The 2 nodal tissues are SA node or sinoatrial node, AV node or atrioventricular node. The SA node is a modified cardiac muscle that help in generation of action potential for the contraction of the auricles. AV node or atrioventricular node is present at the junction of interatrioventricular septum. This AV node acts as pace setter. SA node acts as pacemaker and AV node acts as pace setter. Okay children, till now you came to know about the different parts, different chambers, different blood vessels and different valves that are connected or communicating with the heart. Let us know the internal structure and external structure of heart in detail, which is the topic of 10th bioscience, that is transportation. Let us see the video and learn more about external and internal structure of the heart. Okay children, here you can see the heart. It is the heart of sheep, which is conical, hollow, muscular organ. The heart is situated in the thoracic cavity, the space provided called mediastinum, and it is protected by rib cage. The heart is showing different surfaces. One is anterior broad surface and conical posteriorly. At the anterior broader surface, there are so many trunks of blood vessels that are arising from the ventricles of heart. These blood vessels are forming the bulk of the heart. The heart is covered by a double membranous structure, and we can see different prominent blood vessels on the surface of heart. These prominent blood vessels are coronary arteries and the coronary veins supplied to the muscles of the heart. The heart is covered by a double membranous structure called pericardium. Between the two membranes of pericardium, the pericardial space is present, which is filled with pericardial fluid. The pericardial fluid protects heart from external shocks and jerks. And there is a deep groove which is separating the anterior chambers and the posterior chambers. Heart is divided into 4 chambers externally. The 2 anterior chambers are called auricles and the 2 posterior chambers are called ventricles. All the 4 chambers, right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium and the left ventricle. There is a prominent deep groove that is separating anterior auricles from the posterior ventricles. This prominent groove is called coronary sulcus or interatrioventricular groove. One more groove separating the 2 ventricles, that is called interventricular groove. This interventricular groove lodges the coronary blood vessels. There are so many trunks or aortic arches that are arising from the heart. Here you can see the insertion of one straw into a vessel, that is nothing but pulmonary aorta. This pulmonary aorta is guarded by semilunar valve or pulmonary valve. After coming out of the heart, it is dividing into 2 branches. Next one is the rigid one called systemic aorta. The systemic aorta is emerging out of the left ventricle, which is guarded by systemic valve or aortic valve. This systemic aorta supplies blood to all parts of the body. The third one is system of vena cava. It opens into the right atrium, which is collecting deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body and released into the right atrium. This is formed by 2 precaval veins and 1 postcaval vein. The second trunk is pulmonary veins, which open into the left atrium and carrying oxygenated blood from lungs to the left atrium. There are no valves in the pulmonary veins. Okay children, we have seen different trunks of heart that are arising from different chambers of the heart: pulmonary aorta, systemic aorta, system of vena cava and the pulmonary vein. Among all the trunks of blood vessels, the pulmonary aorta has a valve called pulmonary valve. Systemic aorta opening is guarded by systemic valve. The postcaval vein is guarded by a membranous folding called eustachian valve, but there are no valves in the precaval veins as well as in the pulmonary veins. The 2 auricles are smaller than the ventricles, posterior chambers. Among the 2 ventricles, right ventricle is smaller than the left ventricle. The right ventricle is supplying deoxygenated blood to lungs for purification, whereas the left ventricle is supplying oxygenated blood to all parts of the body through the systemic aorta. The walls of ventricles are also varying. Now let us see the internal structure of heart. The internal structure also reveals the presence of 4 chambers: right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle and the left ventricle. Between right atrium and right ventricle, there is an opening called interatrioventricular aperture or right atrioventricular aperture. Between left atrium and left ventricle, there is left atrioventricular aperture. The right atrioventricular aperture is guarded by tricuspid valve with 3 flaps, whereas left atrioventricular aperture is guarded by bicuspid valve or mitral valve with 2 flaps. These valves prevent backward flow of blood from ventricles into the auricles during contraction of ventricles. You can observe whitish string-like structures that are extending from auriculoventricular septa to the muscles of the ventricles. They are called chordae tendineae. The chordae tendineae are connected to the papillary muscles of ventricles that prevent too much bulging of atrioventricular valves during ventricular systole. There is a septum that is separating the 2 ventricles called interventricular septum. On the inner wall of the ventricles, there are so many longitudinal foldings called columnae corneae. Some of the columnae corneae are modified to form papillary muscles which are connected to atrioventricular septa that prevent too much bulging of valves during ventricular contraction. The right ventricle receives deoxygenated blood, whereas left ventricle receives oxygenated blood. The right ventricle is pumping deoxygenated blood through pulmonary aorta to both the lungs through pulmonary arteries for oxygenation, whereas left ventricle is pumping oxygenated blood to all parts of the body through systemic aorta. There are nodal tissues present in the wall of heart. One is situated in the wall of right atrium called SA node or sinoatrial node. This SA node acts as pacemaker that generates action potential to the auricles when both auricles are filled with the blood, that resulting in contraction of the auricles. The second nodal tissue present at the junction of interatrioventricular septa called AV node or atrioventricular node acts as pace setter. When action potential is generated by SA node to the wall of auricles, that action potential is received by the AV node and it is conducted to the bundle of His and conducted to the wall of ventricle through small fibers called Purkinje fibers. When these Purkinje fibers are receiving the action potential, that result in contraction of the ventricles. So, when ventricles are contracted, the right ventricle pumps deoxygenated blood to lungs and left ventricle pumps oxygenated blood to. So, this is what the structure of heart. Now, we came to know that heart is the size of a crunched fist of a man, but this small sized organ is carrying different functions for better survival of the living organisms. To keep this heart healthy, we have to follow some healthy tips. Eat healthy and nutritious food. So, what healthy food and what type of nutritious food you have to take, you have to discuss this with your teacher. Get active by doing physical exercise, means you have to play enormously, not the indoor games, but you have to do outdoor games, especially to keep your heart healthy. Practice good dental hygiene, especially flossing your teeth daily. Manage stress, then stay healthy weight, get enough sleep. Children, now I would like to ask you a few questions which are thought provoking questions. Already we came to know that heart is situated in the thoracic cavity. Rather than the thoracic cavity, what happens if heart is situated in the abdominal cavity? Discuss with your teachers or peer groups or with your friends. And second question, what happens if valves are absent in the heart? Summary of the heart. Heart is a central pumping organ. It is divided into 4 chambers, upper 2 chambers called atria and lower 2 chambers are the ventricles. There are large blood vessels arising from the heart, systemic aorta, pulmonary aorta, system of vena cava. Different valves are present in the heart. They are tricuspid valve, bicuspid valve, aortic valve, pulmonary valve, eustachian valve and sebaceous valve. There are two nodal tissues in the heart. They are SEA node acts as pacemaker and AV node as pace setter. Okay children, now this is the time for evaluation. After listening this topic, you have to answer few questions. What are the functions of valves in the heart? Write the structural difference between the chambers of heart. Draw a neat label diagram of heart. And fourth question, how can you appreciate the role of heart in supplying substances? Okay children, till now we discussed about the structure of heart, and I will see you soon in the next class with new topic. Thank you.